Hello, how are you? My name is Jim Chen. I'm in the class of EDUC 734 of Liberty University. Today, I'm going to talk about cognitive theory of multimedia learning. First, what is the cognitive theory of multimedia learning? The cognitive theory of multimedia learning, based on three cognitive science principles, relate to human learning: dual channel, visual, auditory channel of human information processing system, limited capacity in the visual and auditory channel processing, a coordinate setting of the cognitive processing in the active and passive of the two channels. Dr. Rich Meyer is a leading person in this research field. He developed the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. His cognitive theory of multimedia learning presents the idea that the brain does not interpret the multimedia presentation of the words, pictures, and audit information in mutual exclusive fashion. Instead, those elements are selected and recognized dynamically to produce a logic mental construct. What is the visual channel processing and how it works? In the active learning, it contains a visual channel to preceding a whole or part of the learning experience. It can be on-screen test or images. According to Clark and Mel, 2016, humans possess separate channels for processing visual and auditory information. In his explanation, first step is a visual and pictorial channel. That's through eye to receive words, display on the screen, imagine, or pictures. That information helps the learner to reach new knowledge and skill. As shown in the pictures, safety guardrail system instruction, rail guard to protect the work with a working surface, with a 0 cable, 21-inch cable, 42-inch cable, and a 60-inch cable. In addition, require install the safe net to cover all the cable areas. What is the phonic channel and how it works? Phonic channel, or called auditory channel, including spoken words in narration and other non-verbal signs, and thus are processed by the brain separate from the visual channel. The audiobook showing the text on screen, also reading words to let learner receive information through the auditory channel. The audiobook name is A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Wrestling through the YouTube present audiobook to the public in 2020. The concept of this book is related to children at a young age, and there are no lasting relationship because everyone belongs to everyone else. The novel presents all the scientific utopian between the technology and the people living in the ideal world. And we try to practice a little bit.
Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Chapter 1. A squat gray building covered in vegetable soil. Over the main entrance, the words Central London.
So the voice is a little bit lower, so that means that guy is reading the words to the people. So that is a process. Now we keep going. What is the dual channel processing, and how do the visual and phonetic channel works together? The dual channel processing that humans have a two separate channel, visual channel and auditory channel, to receive the information. Verbal communication uses words to share information with others, and it can be in both speech and writing, or imagine, transfer the information with others, and it can be in both speech and writing, or picture, share that from one person to others. The learner, through the visual channel and auditory channel, to receive the information, use their sensory memory to capture the images to obtain the data initially. The next step of the working memory is to reach more information to chosen relevant picture or words. This process helps the learner better understand and remembers to relate information through the visual mode and the audit mode work, together with the knowledge and experience. Then combine all the information into long-term memory. Two pictures showing the whole with the safety guidelines explain to the workers. Each employee under working or working condition surface should be protected from tripping in or step into or through the hole by the cover. And then explanation by voice explanation. To help the worker better understanding. Multimedia instruction help learners to learning. This diagram showing how the cognitive theory of multimedia learning works. Multimedia presentation procedures use ears and eyes to receive information of the sensory memory. In verbal mode and pictorial mode in working memory, and close up of the period knowledge to the long-term memory. This diagram shows procedure of multimedia learning. Words can be through ear or eye into sensory memory. The words information can use ear or eyes to receive sensor information, sensor memory, sign, picture into the working memory of the verbal mode to final stage of a long-term memory. The imagine through the eye receive information in sensor memory. Acquire photos of the pictorial mode into working memory. And then to the final stage of a long-term memory. What is a limited capacity assumption to the information received by humans? According to Clark and Mayer 2006, human beings do not have unlimited capacity to store all the information and including the processing. The limited capacity of assumption as an instructor should not overwhelm the student with the learning material. In online learning, better to use a little on-screen words, more detailed picture, and clear spoken narration. On the screen of the 3 pictures showing one photo, one image, and the explanation of words of the requirements of the guardrail system. This is an example of overwhelming of the learning material presented to learning at the same time. What is the Mayer's rule of the 3 memory store? Mayer's 3 stages of memory: sensory memory, working memory, and long-term memory. The sensor memory is the temporary storage of the sensory information. It gives the brain some time to process the income sensation and allow the learner to see the world as a link string of the events rather than separate pieces. The next step to remembering the information, the working memory, is where the small amount of the data can be temporarily held for up to 1 minute. The working memory modifying information and ready to store. The long-term memory stage used to hold the data for day, month, and year. Long-term memory is a considerate. It can remember most information forever in the most cases. Hill's study. The research study focused on using multimedia video lectures to test exogenous load. The exogenous cognitive load is the way information is presented to the learner. This study focused on delivery of math for course learning. The course instructor used multimedia tool, video lecture, to reduce exogenous load and maximize cognitive processing. The instructor, through the visual channel and audio channel, to support the learner. The study results showing use multimedia to promote a better understanding of the learning material. The learner may experience a cognitive overload of their visual channel when they most simultaneously process graphics and print words that refer to them. The learner's eyes attending to the print words, they cannot fully listen to the animation or graphic, especially when the words and picture are presented concurrently at a replied piece. The words are familiar and the drawing is complex. E-learning course should be designed to minimize the chance of overload learners' visual channel. The participants involved in this study based on random selection. In Liu's study, 2019, the research study focused on animation and compute simulations on the modality and the revised modality effects. The authors focus on animation with spoken course material compared with animation with writing words on the screen learning. Based on multimedia type of cognitive load theory and characteristics to discover modality effect to animation condition and revise modality effect to closed situation. The study results showed learners learning more materials in animation with spoke test. On the other hand, writing test has been recommended to use with the teacher's instructional guideline. Oberford study, 2016. This research study focus on use narration explanation of the learning information to the learning topic better than on-screen tests in low experience learners group of the material learning. This research study is to be discovered the role of the modality principle in multimedia learning environments. The study has found an exciting part of the effectiveness. The learner viewed the PowerPoint presentation, including on-screen tests, showing the effectiveness, retention, and transfer of knowledge. On the other hand, the study shows no significance from the students' use modality principle in the experiment. In this point, I believe in the learning process, all the participants should understand of the modality principle before participating in this study. Because to use the modality principle should know the benefit of the tool, how it can fit your work. Huang 2018 study. The research study focuses on animate pedagogical agents supporting multimedia learning about eye fiction towards learning and learning outcomes. This research study test incorporates social cues, gesturing in animate pedagogical agents in online multimedia course learning. The study conducts 3 experiments from the multimedia: narrative presentation during the eye movement to the track, the subsequent learning outcome test. The screen performance significantly better on the learning outcome in 2 experiments, with participants added gesturing pedagogical agents. In the 3rd experiment, no significant result to the learning outcome when added the signal like a color code to the learning process. This study supports the people learning better in multimedia learning. Adding pedagogical agent on the screen with social agent theory in social cues can assist initial learnings on the material more actively and towards a better learning outcome. Psychological reason for modality principle. In acquisition view of the modality, multimedia learning design, instruct transfer information and the learning accurate learning material. The online screen test with additional images may cause cognitive overload to learner. The low experienced learner may be more likely to understand information with narration rather than only on the screen test. According to cognitive theory of the learning, people have a separate information processing channel, visual channel, and auditory channel. The capacity of each channel is limited. So the graphics and their explanatory on the screen test must complete for the same little visual attention. When eyes are engaged with the pictures, they cannot be looking at the on-screen test. Thus, even the information is presented, learners may not be able to adequately attend to all of it because their visual channel is overloaded. In the contrast, visual channel and audit channel present in simultaneous to avoid cognitive overload. To avoid cognitive overload by using verbal explanation like use speech to avoid cognitive overload. By using ear of the auditory channel to increase verbal material information and the cognitive system. Or the same time, visual channel through the eyes to enter cognitive systems. In this process, both channels meet the learning requirement. Either channel is not overloaded. Cognitive overload, as in online learning class, the teacher gives many reading material and homework at the exact time. The students hold a lot of stress and pressure on the learning. Learning the student to be complete the task on time. The modality principle of redundancy and how it works. According to Clark and Mills 2016, research study of the redundant principle using audio or text to explain visual channel in on-screen test for better support the student in online learning. Clark and Mayer suggest the student can choose learning material in both spoken and print. It fits student-centered learning. The diagram of the overloading of the visual channel with a graphic explanation by word in audio and writing test. In the end, suggest modality multimedia learning process. The learners must understand how the modality support online learning in the modality multimedia learning process before using the multimedia. In modality multimedia learning process, the instructional design should know the principle of multimedia to support the learner's learning. Learners can implement class learning with the entire knowledge modality principle. In modality multimedia learning process, the school administration should fully support using multimedia principle in the learning process and support future study needs. The modality multimedia principle has a vast market and a tremendous effect on the future education system. All the reference in support this assignment.